more than half of all young Australians have experienced cyberbullying, according to new data by mental health organisation Headspace. The alarming figures have prompted a warning for parents to be aware of the impacts of social media on children and young teenagers and the signs of cyberbullying so kids can be supported. We're going to get some more on this story now. Jason Trethowan joins me live. He's the CEO of Headspace. Jason, thanks so much for your time today. These figures are pretty concerning.
Look, Stacey, they are indeed concerning. To think that just over a half of young people aged between the age of 12 to 25 have experienced cyberbullying in their lifetime. And it also, Stacey, relates to those who experience or report high to very high levels of psychological distress, that 70% of those people have too experienced some form of cyberbullying.
I guess as time goes on, we've seen the face of bullying change, especially over the last few decades with the introduction of so many different social media sites. It's almost easier for someone now to sit behind a keyboard and bully someone else than it used to be.
Look, it sure is. Obviously, a lot of bullying will still occur, for instance, inside schools and in workplaces, but it now offers a 24/7 means of access to people to interrogate people's lives, to humiliate them, to cause them great deals of stress. So what we're really doing at Headspace today is obviously releasing this unfortunate statistic of young Australians being cyberbullied, but also a call to action to say that there are ways to mitigate cyberbullying happening to you in the future, but we know that the online presence of people wanting to cause harm, really, maybe not intentionally, but absolutely causing harm to the mental health of young Australians, has to really get on the decline.
Yeah. Now, what are some of those ways? How can people try and help mitigate the impacts of cyberbullying?
Yeah, look, a common thing at Headspace we get asked is, well, as a parent, for instance, I'm noticing my daughter or son being cyberbullied. What do I do? Well, the first thing is don't try and fix it straight away. Always listen to understand. Don't listen to judge. Don't dismiss it as something that's okay. You'll get over it. But really look at the patterns. Ask to see if often it's in a group chat situation, which means it's hidden behind the public domain. And where it's done so, get an idea, a sense of yourself. Work with the school, because often schools are involved in listening and hearing about these circumstances. So partnering up with the school is something we encourage the parents to do.
Is there anything you can do as a preventative measure? I guess, banning kids from social media sites, it's not really going to help. They'll find a way to get there eventually.
Young people will always find a way to get back onto social media. So banning is not something that will necessarily work, but certainly educating them around what a safe way of getting around social media. It's okay to block people. It's okay to delete things, to talk. Most importantly, it's about regulating your own behaviours online in the same way you would do in normal everyday life, to learn how to understand what's actually happening and that it's not okay. And certainly not being afraid to block. There's plenty of resources on websites like Reach Out, Headspace, and also the East Safety Commission, which can talk through in depth steps you can take.
Is it worthwhile? I know there are some courses out there that kids and parents and teachers can do to give you a little bit more awareness about what can take place and I guess how to prevent it or put measures in place to limit the effect that it can have. I mean, there's one here where I am in South Australia, the Carly Ryan Foundation, which just helps to educate parents and teachers who maybe don't have as much of an understanding about social media as kids do. Would you recommend doing courses like that, or do you think it might be a waste of time?
Yeah, it's a great foundation that you mentioned too, Stacey, and doing some great work. And look, involved in educating the educators. They're busy people. They've got a lot to manage. And that's why it's important to partner up with schools, but also for parents just to know that there is help out there and also to know that you're not alone. Many parents are worried about their kids when around their online activities, but in particular when it comes to their young person, their son or daughter being in some ways attacked online or seeing them under a lot of duress, withdrawing from school activities, perhaps, so that they don't have to front the person who may be bullying them. So getting educated online, but also taking up those courses is something that every parent could look at.
Yeah, well, it's some good advice. Thank you very much for your time today, Jason.